Oh my gosh! Hi guys! Thank you so much for joining me. I am super excited. As you can see, I'm like really quite not myself. I have super exciting news to share with you. So I thought, let me quickly go live. So this is very unplanned, very impromptu. Yeah, I have really important news to share with you because guess what arrived today? It's a day early, at least. So I didn't expect this to arrive just yet. And now I thought that it's here. I will unbox this live with you. I have not opened the box yet. Yeah, I want to do this with you guys. So I'm super excited, as you can tell. I'm not even sure what I want to say. And I'm going to open this and then we will take it from there. So my plan is that I hope what's in this box is the latest, greatest, best ever launched camera in the history of Fujifilm. So let's see what's in the box and take it from there. Alrighty-o. So I've got this here, over here. So let me undo the ribbon quickly. That's really cool. And don't need this anymore. And then I've got this tape here. And I can open the box. Let me undo this tape. Exciting! So exciting, so exciting. Let's hope the box has in it what I think it is. Let's see, let's all have a look together. What's in there? It's bubble wrap! Woo! Bubble wrap! Yo! And what else? More bubble wrap. Thank you, Fujifilm, for making sure that this here baby arrives safely. And yeah, let's see. Don't need this anymore. It's definitely Fujifilm. And let's see. What else is it? It's an X100VI. It's my own X100VI, and I am so excited. I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this for so long. You guys have no idea. You have absolutely no idea. And it is in silver. Thank you, Barry. Okay, let's do this. Open it. You guys ready to peep inside? Ta-da! Okay. Oh, it's a brochure. Okay, don't need that. Then empty mobile. I know there's accessories and everything, but we can, skip this part. Can you hear it? Ah, the best sound in the world. There we go. This is so cool. This is so cool. What do you guys think? Ah! It's really here. It's as beautiful as I thought it would be. I mean, we know what it looks like. And it already has a fingerprint of mine on it, which is brilliant. And here is the beautiful lens cap that comes off and is a little bit thicker than the previous one, as we all know, and we don't mind. And it's definitely got the X100VI on it. And there we go. It's just absolutely beautiful. It's just got this beautiful texture to it that we're used to it, and it feels just beautiful. It feels exactly like what I was hoping for. It's nice and weighty, but not too heavy. And there we go. Can you hear this? It's the lens. So let me just quickly bring a few things in here. Hey Stephanie, thank you so much for tuning in. This is so exciting, right? Super exciting. And thanks for the encouragement. I did open it, and isn't it just beautiful? And yes, let me know if anyone else is waiting for their own. And if you have any exciting other things to share with me, that would be also really cool. But for now, let me just try and compose myself, because I thought while I have this unboxed, first of all, let's have a look at what else is in the box when it comes. So the thing that I chucked away here is just a pamphlet, so we don't really need to worry about that. We've got the lens cap that we had already taken off. We have the beautiful paper that we don't need anymore. And then on the side, we have these accessories. So let me just move this up a little bit. And let's see what's in here. Are you all taking in the sounds, guys? I'm doing a little ASMR on the side. So we have cables, and we have a strap, the nice strap that always comes with it. Then we have, okay, let me do this properly. Then we have a cable, which is a USB-C cable, which is great, which we will need. Then we will have these eyelids. If you are Fujifilm users, then you know the drill. And we have the all-important necessary battery, a nice small compact battery that uses that the previous X100s also use. So that's really cool, and that's what's in the box, and that's it. And we don't need any of these things, so I'm gonna put them aside so that we have a bit of space. I'm gonna drop this on the floor so that I have more space. And I have, because the batteries don't usually come pre-charged, so I have one set aside for me that I can insert into my baby right away. There we go. And not to forget a memory card. So we shall insert that also. And it goes in the other way to my other cameras. So this is also always a little bit confusing. But once you know the drill, you know the drill. There we go. And it clips in by pushing it in a little bit, if you don't know about this already. And the mechanism is also now doesn't snap in. You actually have to push it closed. So that's actually also really cool. Oh, and let me see here. I've got other comments here. So if you have a question or a comment, let me just pause here for a second. I will get to those just now. So don't hold back on your comments or anything. If you have a question you definitely need an answer to, please make sure that you put a Q in front of it so that it's easier for me to see that you actually have a question. Alrighty, so don't forget the Q. Okay, so we have this baby loaded and yeah, ready to rock and roll. The thing that I do when I first get Fujifilm camera is that I make sure that my shutter speed is on A. Don't judge, I will put sense into all of this a little bit later on. And I also put the ISO into A. And then I put the exposure compensation dial on C. So this is my go-to setup for my everyday photography, and that we can sort out straight away. I'm just gonna go through a couple of settings I thought while we're here to make sure that you can see how I set up my cameras. The first things that I check straight away, and then we can, take this further, not today, but at another point. So, all right. So now I've got even more space on my desk, and I thought what would be really cool is that I show you guys through the menus. So I've got a cable here that I'm going to plug into this camera, and then we can all witness together the birth of my camera. And how we're going to do this is like this, not like this. We're going to do this. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. Here we go. Let's do this. Okay. This is a brand new setup, as you can see, and let's go through this. I'm obviously going to choose English, and I'm going to choose my time zone, which is GMT +2. All right, that's right off the bat. We don't have daylight saving time, and then we can set it, and that's okay. And today is, what is today? It's February the 28th, and it's 17, 13, let's go in that direction. 13, there we go. And I've got this on 24 hours. Alrighty-o. Now, as you can see, we can pair the camera straight away to the app, which is obviously something that I want to do. So in order to do this, I press OK, and then I am going to go into the menu, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to the connection settings, which is like right at the bottom, the squiggly line. And then you see the Bluetooth smartphone settings. And if I go in there, it takes me to pairing registration, which is what I want to do. So I'm going to click here. And then when you go to the phone, as you can see, I have the app open already. This is actually a live screen of my phone. So I'm like seriously hooked up here today, and I want to connect a new camera, right? So I'm going to do that at the top in the camera dialog box. So this is what it's telling me, and there we go. It has already found the camera, so I'm going to press on register now. And then we are there. I need to press OK here, as you can see, and then we should be there. As you can see, let me make sure I go to the right place now. Yeah, as you can see, it's found the camera. So that's really cool. And you can also see that there is already new firmware available. Because of it being plugged in, etc., I'm not going to run it now, but I did, just before I went live here, that there is apparently a firmware fix for some Wi-Fi stability, which I'm going to run afterwards. So if you get your camera, make sure that you run firmware update like straight away. But like I said, for the purpose of demonstrating this now, I'm not going to do that. So we are going to go back to the camera menu so that we can set it up properly. Alrighty-o. So first and foremost, what I do is that I check that my copyright information, and the naming convention and all of that is set properly. And I want to do that before anything else. So that is here in the spanner menu. So we're going a little bit from bottom to top the way we set this camera up. So the copyright information is in the save data setup. So this is where I want to go, and I want to go here. As you can tell, there's no author information in at the moment, so what I'm going to do is obviously put my name in there. And I can do this like this, and what I really like is that it also gives me big and small letters. So that's what I'm going to do. And this is my name. And this is how I spell it. And let me quickly go. There we go. And then we'll put a space in here. And then we will spell my last name correctly as well. Capital B. And then we go to the O. And hold on, don't overshoot. B-I-U-C. if you have a complicated surname, you may appreciate the fact that that I'm spelling my own surname to myself. All right, and then don't forget to press the enter, the enter button, or the OK button. And that is that. So this is the author information. It's here. Oh gosh, and I can just see now that I actually have a spelling mistake in my own name. Such is life. All right. But anyway, let's leave that as that. I'll fix that later. So my copyright, there are different things that you can enter in here. I always like to put in here all rights reserved, because I really like people to appreciate that these are my photographs, and if they want to use my photograph, they can ask me. So this is information that's actually hard-baked into the EXIF, into the information that comes with the image. So let me make sure that I don't make a spelling mistake now. All rights reserved is what I add here. You can do something differently. That's totally up to you what you want to do. But that's what I do. Reserved. Okay, quickly. Reserve. Typing live is much harder than when you do this in your own time. Okay, all right. I hope this time this is correct. And then that's the information that I have. All right. But if you are new to the system, or if you don't go through the setup very often, I want to just run through a couple of things to familiarize yourself with it and to make sure that you understand from top to bottom what's in each of these menu items. All right. And it's actually pretty self-explanatory, I think, and once you've run through a couple of things, it will be much easier. And there are quite a few settings that you only have to set once, so don't worry about it too much. So the very first menu item that you come across is the IQ, which is image quality. So that's everything to do with what size your image is, what it looks like, and where we can decide whether we shoot RAW or JPEG or both. All right, so my image size, I always keep it at 3:2. If there are special situations, I may choose to shoot 16:9 or maybe even square once in a while. But this is really my default setting. My image quality, that refers to shooting JPEG or JPEG and RAW, or just RAW. And now I'm going to set it to just JPEG. Fine is the highest quality you can get, so this is what we want. And so we go on. RAW recording would be what size RAW file you would like. You can choose between uncompressed, lossless, compressed, and compressed. If I shoot JPEG and RAW or just RAW, maybe for a special occasion, then I always choose lossless compressed. It gives you a little bit of a smaller file, but it basically is lossless. So it's just a little bit smaller file size. It's more manageable, uses less space on your hard drive, which is very welcome these days. Because as we all know, this baby here shoots at 40 megapixels, so the files, uncompressed RAW, are like, I think, 80, 90 megabytes, so that's quite hefty. Alrighty-o. And then here you can choose if you want to shoot JPEG or HEIF. For now, I'll leave it at JPEG. All the other settings in this menu, don't worry about at the moment. I get to that later. That's all got to do with the very awesome recipes that we can dial into our JPEGs to make them look super cool. But that's a topic for another time. All right, and then we have other settings here in the autofocus and manual focus menu. And here I just usually just make sure most of the stuff I leave default. These days, that's pretty good. If you want a proper run through of everything, I'll do that a little bit later, at a later stage once, you know, I've shot with it a bit. But for now, I just really wanted to share my excitement with you. So I just run through a few very important settings that I think you should definitely not forget to set in your camera. All right, and that is, for example, all of these you can leave as they are. Even the face detection, let's actually turn that on because it's become so good. Sorry, that was too quick. You can choose here between, if you want the camera to detect a face, do you also want it to detect eyes? Which one do you want it to detect? So that would make a difference if you shoot portraits and you have a, you know, more of a controlled environment. So I leave it on eye auto because depending on which eye is closer to the camera is what it should choose, which is what you get with this. And then we have, subject detection settings, which is the new awesome feature that is new to this camera. Here I can choose an animal, and I have, when I tested the camera with the sample, I have tried that with shooting with my dog, and that worked really well. So you can use that and then turn it off when you're finished with it. All right, and what else have we got that I need put on? So what else have we got? What's important for me is interlock, spot, auto exposure and focus area. That means that you have your focus point as the point that meters the scene. It's kind of like spot metering, but it moves around from the center of the image to wherever the focus point is. So it's spot metering on steroids, which is really cool. And obviously we want that. Then what else have we got? What's important for me here is another point, release a focus priority. So that is by default set on focus if you have single autofocus, but if you have continuous autofocus, it's on release. But I really only want the camera to take a picture when it's got focus on something. So I always have both of these set to focus. Next up, we have the touchscreen mode. And in default, it's set to shoot. But I would prefer that when I touch the screen, I can use it to focus my area, but I don't want it to take a picture. So if you have this camera or any camera that has a touch screen and you wonder why you get these random shots that the camera takes even though you haven't taken the picture, it's probably because you have this turned on touch shooting, because then the moment you touch the screen, it will actually take the picture. So I don't want that. I want it to acquire focus at most. Sometimes I change the setting. Then what else we have? There are all sorts of goodies in here that we will talk about at a later stage. These are not necessary to be checked at this point. What I want to make sure is the photometry, which is the metering mode in the camera, and that should be set to multi, which is the most advanced kind of metering, which takes into account the entire scene and also looks at the contrast of the scene. So it definitely gives you the best metering option for, I would say, 90% of your scenes. The shutter type, I prefer to change. It's by default set to mechanical shutter, which is really great, but I like to make use of shooting at higher shutter speeds in broad daylight. So if you like shallow depth of field like me and you're out during the day, then mechanical shutter will often not be sufficient enough to stop down your image. You will get overexposed images, and then that means you need to put your camera into mechanical and electronic shutter because mechanical shutter is a good setting to have. So if you put it on both, you get the both best of both worlds, which is exactly what I want. And that is this for this page. And then we have ISO auto settings. If I'm going too fast, guys, shout. It's the first time that I'm doing an unboxing and setting up a live camera here. We are in auto ISO mode, and as you can see, you get 3 modes to choose from. And by default, Fujifilm sets these into 1, 2, and 3, and basically what they are changing, you will see, is only the ISO. You can see that at the bottom of the screen. That's the only thing that changes. And what I like to do is use my auto. Most of the time I only use one auto setting. So I go into auto ISO 1 and I keep the default sensitivity at the base ISO. So this is where I want the camera to shoot as best as it can. And the maximum sensitivity, I am, really happy to shoot at 6400 ISO at any point. So I'm not going to limit my camera to less than that. And it can definitely go all the way up there. I know I'm comfortable that even though it's shooting at a very high ISO, I know that I get good quality images. Where the interesting part for me comes in is when I change the minimum shutter speed. Again, auto is the default setting. I can't believe I'm holding my X100VI in my hands, guys. Sorry. So it's by default in auto, and I like to actually change that, because what auto does is that the camera decides for you what it thinks good shutter speed is, that you can still have a sharp image handheld, depending on what lens you're using. Now this is a fixed lens, so that would make it a bit easier, but I like to go the other way. Actually, what am I doing? So I like to shoot because, most of the time there is a lot of light for an everyday setup. So I usually set this at 1/250th of a second. Again, these settings that I'm setting are for everyday general scenes. And I know that this is what I have dialed in, especially in my now everyday camera that I take with me everywhere I go. And then I want to have it like on a general purpose setting. If I go out in the evening, or I'm somewhere where, the night is setting in, or I move indoors and the light is less, then maybe I need to change that. Or maybe if I shoot something at very fast speed, like my dog in the park or something, or kids running around, or I really want to freeze motion, then I would up the shutter speed to something higher. But I know at the back of my head, this is where it usually sits. So if there's anything that changes in my scene, then I know where to go. And this is what I change here in these settings. While I'm on this page, let me just quickly point out the ND filter, which is improved in this X100VI. It's now a 4-stop ND filter, which is really amazing. And I will put this button on a function button so that I can turn it off and on at will. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Just so you know, if you're looking for where to find it, it sits in the shooting mode or the camera symbol mode, because you use it and change it while you're shooting. Right, then you can change the flash. The camera comes with a built-in flash, which is small, but it still is quite powerful and can give you a little bit of fill, a little bit of help in the odd situation. But I'm not going to change those settings now. Neither am I going to do that in the movie mode. This is, a topic for another day. I'm setting my camera up for just shooting JPEGs. And then we are back in the setup menu. So we have been right at the bottom, changing the save data setup. The user settings is what's on top. This is where you format your memory card. And if you can remember, we inserted a memory card and we have not formatted yet. I strongly recommend that the first thing that you do when you turn your camera on as a general practice, once you start shooting with it, that the first thing you do is you format the memory card, after you've inserted it, because it's been somewhere else. It's been in a computer or whatever, and to ensure smooth operation, you want to format it every time. Make sure that you download it and save your images, obviously, beforehand. These settings we have already set when we first turned on the camera. So this is this interface that looks hopefully now familiar to you, where we save the time zone, and this is the date and time that we set over here. All these are other settings that you can change when you are traveling, for example, and then you have additional extension menus for, once you get comfortable with your camera and you know what settings you change often. I will go through these and, give you guidance and a bit more in-depth as to what all these different settings are in previous, listen to me, I'm clearly not quite with it, in upcoming episodes, and we can go through everything. If there is something specifically that you'd like to know, please hit me up in the comments and I will make sure that I include that in upcoming videos of mine. And then lastly, I want to make sure that the camera is always nice and clean and that there is no dust on the sensor. Now, nicely, this camera is a fixed lens camera. So it is not very easy to get dust on the sensor, because that usually happens when you change the lens in the field. Now you can't do that with this camera, so that's really cool. So I don't need to do the sensor cleaning like I need to do that on my X-T5, for example, where I regularly do get or potentially get dust spots because I changed the lens a lot. And the downside of it is that it uses quite a bit of battery power. And this here, we can, only use sometimes so that we can save on battery power. So I leave it on default and only have the camera do the sensor cleaning when it switches off. And that's it. So these are the few settings that I change, that I make sure that are in. And there is one more thing that I want you to make sure, is that the power management, since we are speaking about battery power and saving power. So by default, as you can see, Fujifilm thinks that it's a good idea that the camera powers off after 2 minutes if you haven't been using it, which is cool in general. In the field, I think it's totally fair, and I leave it at that. For demonstration purposes, like something like today, I would disable this. So I would make sure that the camera doesn't power off automatically, because I may be talking for a while about something and not touch the camera, and then all of a sudden we get a black screen. So we don't want that, and that's when this setting comes in really handy. You can also underneath see that you can change the performance and go from normal to boost, so that your autofocus is at its sharpest and fastest. But that, again, uses more battery power. So you will know what performance you would like out of your camera. I do tend to like to have it in boost mode, I must admit, because I want to make use of its brilliant autofocus, and I want it as fast and as snappy as I can have it. So I leave it usually on boost. I think it's, good to rather have a couple of spare batteries and get the most out of my camera. But it's your choice. Otherwise, we have these settings which we don't need to worry about any further. And I think I skipped over the button dial settings and over the screen settings. Naughty me. I wanted to make sure that you can see here that you can shoot in total silence. So you can turn all the sounds off in the camera. Just know that if you ever would use an external flash, then you have to change the sound as well as the electronic shutter that we enabled earlier, because that interferes with your camera being able to handle or trigger an external flash that you put on the hot shoe, which is this guy over here, which is nicely hidden by this cover. All right, and let's go back into the menus. And what else have we got? We've got the screen set up. So depending on what you want in the screen and how you want the LCD and the electronic viewfinder to work, this is where you would set it up. You can make use of the electronic, here the electronic sensor, which means the camera switches between the LCD and the EVF, and that's usually what I do. I like that a lot. And then I want to make sure that you please do this for me. I don't know why Fujifilm makes this the default setting that the EVF is on auto. I really don't like that. I really want the EVF to be on 0. I want to make sure that what I see is what I get. And this for me is always the closest to that. All the other settings I don't need to worry about here. If you are curious what's in this menu, you will find a very important setting that is on default, which is the preview exposure and white balance in manual mode. This is the trick that Fujifilm gives us so that we can see the image that we will get before we even have taken the picture. So this will make sure that your brightness will change and that your white balance will change and that the image will look exactly like what you will see by changing the dials and settings. It will adjust with that. And at the same time, in concert with that, you need to turn the natural live view off. But that is, again, also already set by default because Fujifilm wants you to get the most benefit out of your camera. And then we have this electronic level. So this is also pretty cool. I like this a lot. There are 2 different settings. I like to put on the 2D electronic level, and I will show you what this does. So when I go out of the menu and I have the electronic level on, you will see this green or this bar that goes across the screen. And if the camera is level, it will go green. So this is actually quite an important setting for me because I used to struggle with straight horizons. And since I turned this setting on, it actually really helps me. So I don't need to go in afterwards and crop my, or tilt and crop and straighten my images anymore. So I really recommend that you try this out if you are struggling with the same thing. Alrighty-o. But now this is really it. These are the settings that I change right in the beginning when I get my camera, and everything else that I change or that I sometimes change will, take a little bit longer, and I've already been speaking for a long time. And going through menus like this is not as exciting as playing around with the camera, which is really what I want to get to. So just one more thing before I let you go. and that is, I'm actually going to take a picture and download it to the app so we can have another look at the app and see what it does. Are you happy for me to do that and stick around with me? All right. I have set up a little bit of a scene. A little bit. Here are my happy hippos that are waiting for me. You can't see that. What am I doing? No? Sorry. There we go. That's it. Here are my hippos. Now you can see them properly. And I'm going to quickly take a picture with this. There we go. So that you can see. There we go. And if I press the play button, I can show you the picture, and you will see that it's got all that information on the display there as well, which is really cool. And now I'm going to try and see if I can connect the camera again. And then we'll download the picture. All right. So let's see. I'm going to my phone. And as you can see here on the screen, what we can see is that I have the blue button for the Bluetooth. It says it's connected, and the green button is for the location information, and that's also in green. So that tells me that my camera is connected to my phone, which is exactly what I want. If it wasn't connected, those two symbols would not have color. All right. So I press on the image acquisition, and it's telling me that it cannot communicate with the camera, which is not good. So it's also possible because now I have got the cable on and we know there is a firmware update coming. So let me just power off the camera and then turn it back on. And then usually what would happen is you can see that it's disconnected and now it's connected. All right. And keep your fingers crossed for me. Okay, so I think what's happening is because I have this cable plugged in, so let me take this out. Right. I had the cables, the camera still connected to my interface here, and now you can see something's happening. All right. The moment your camera is connected and it wants to connect to your phone, you need to allow it to, so you tell it to join. And then the image will magically appear. This is the new app, which if you haven't been using it yet, you definitely have to, because it's just really cool, so much more efficient, smooth, and easy to use. And on my phone here, I can already see the image, but because my phone is now connected to the camera and no longer to this device, it's not showing it anymore. So that's a bummer. So let me just quickly download the image, and then I will reconnect my phone so that you can see the image that I've downloaded. Just give me 1 second. Okay, just bear with me for a moment. So these are the things that, you know, you always need to check before you go live. And because I was in such a hurry to show you guys, I did not do that. But there we go. All right, we are connected. And now you can see that, that dialog box again. And if you go into the timeline at the bottom here, my phone may be so kind as to tell me that I've downloaded an image. But it take a moment. I thought it was really cute of Fujifilm to tell me that I have a new X100VI in the startup box. Also, just quickly on the side, getting totally sidetracked, there is a new feature in this app now that has come through now with the latest update a couple of days ago. It gives you an equipment listing. So I think that is really cool that I can now see technical information about my camera, and I can see here that this is the brand new camera. I can see, you know, shutter count and the battery life, etc., etc. So that's really nice. And Fujifilm have promised that they will add even more features to the app. So I'm really excited and look forward to seeing what they come up with. There's an activity there. You can see all the different cameras, so you can see that I have used various cameras and lenses and also different film simulations. So if you're not familiar with the app, you can play around with it. It's really, really nice. And you can connect more than one camera to it. As you saw, I had my X-T5 and my X-T3 here, and now my X100VI. So this is super exciting. I hope this was a little bit helpful. I don't know if there are any questions, so let me just quickly go through the comments here and see if anyone is looking for something apart from the fact that we are really, you know, do we know what we're doing here? And let me actually go back to the big screen here. We've seen enough of my phone. Thank you guys for joining me, by the way, again. And Annabeth says, thank you. I am enjoying it already, so thank you very much for that. That's really kind of you. Thank you. I'm feeling very fortunate that I have it already. I was only expecting it at the earliest tomorrow. It's wonderful to get these kinds of surprises. There is a bit of a longer comment from Aaron. He says, I always throw those straps in the drawer. Future generations will find a cache of straps from every brand imaginable. Yeah, I hear you, absolutely. I also have my own personal strap that I love. I will adore it with, you know, all the bells and whistles after the stream so that I can go out and, yeah. And what else have we got? We have another comment. Yeah, this is actually very interesting. So let me quickly bring that up here. Aaron says that it's a shame that they're using the old batteries. Yes and no, Aaron. So obviously they were very conscious of the fact that they wanted to keep the form factor the same of the camera. So its compactness is one of its main features. So they packed a lot of stuff in this camera, and you know, there's only so much space. So they decided, Fujifilm decided to use the smaller, or to keep the smaller battery, because otherwise the whole camera would have had to be bigger, and I'm very glad that they decided against it. It's a smaller battery. They promise a longer lifetime. We will see if that is. I will test it out. I don't know yet if the battery life is longer and what it all entails to get the most shots out of one battery. But to be very honest, I'd rather have the same form factor and invest in another spare battery. But that's just my take on it. And what else we got here? Okay, thank you. There we go. What else? We have X100VI only. I'm waiting for mine to be delivered this week from Cinephoto Tools. Exciting stuff. Well, they have been starting to ship them out, so I hope you get your own X100VI very soon, and you can join me on socials with the hashtag X100VI, and we will see. There is loads of images coming in slowly but surely. So yeah, very exciting times. So Fabio's here. Thank you so much for joining me. You said this feature doesn't work for you on the app. Unfortunately, since I'm now looking at this later, I'm not quite sure at what point you commented. So if you're still here, maybe you can, clarify which feature it is that you mean that's not working for you, and then more than happy to elaborate on that. Oh, Dan is also here. Hi, Dan. Thank you so much for tuning in and for taking time to, ask me a question. Does the X100VI have pixel shift? As far as I can tell, I think I saw it, yes. So I will take another look and see, but it would be very exciting. So I will report back on this. And I will save this live. Yes, absolutely. If you have not been able to stick around or tune in altogether, I will definitely save this, and you can go to my reels and check it out. So what else? Yes, there are a couple of people asking this, so I'm glad that we have this possibility. So you can still ask me questions even if I'm no longer live, and I will answer in the comments. So don't shy away from doing so. And there are some other things that I want to go through. So if you found this helpful, and if you want to share in the joy of going live quickly, however impromptu and disorganized this was, I found it more important that I quickly get the message out there that I've got the camera, and just to give you a few pointers as to the settings that I want to change, fresh out the box in this camera. So if you like that, you can follow, subscribe, do all that nice stuff for me. That would really help me out and make me very happy. And find me also on other socials. YouTube is usually the place where I do longer format videos, and then I'll also won't be so restricted in size. And I usually, do all sorts of topics around the Fujifilm cameras, photography in general, beginners, advanced photographers, all sorts of stuff that I chat about in my lives. So, head on over to YouTube and subscribe there. And then you'll be able to see me a little bit later in some upcoming videos. That would be really cool. And now I think I am ready to wrap it up. Thank you all for joining me today. That was really cool, very impromptu, very disorganized, but I hope it added value to your day. So it's been really cool hanging with you, and thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again very, very soon. You have yourself an awesome day.